Hello and welcome to the first of my SEGA Marathon playthroughs. I decided that since I have nothing else to do over the summer, I'm going to let's play a number of games made by my favourite game developers, SEGA. So we're starting with the first in the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, and this is a pre-recorded commentary, so I'm probably going to make a few mistakes, but I'm not really used to let's playing either, so bear with me if I make a few mistakes in my commentary. So here we have the Green Hill Zone, obviously the first ever Sonic the Hedgehog level, and I didn't start with the first Sonic game. I didn't actually know Sonic until 1999 when my parents dropped me a Dreamcast with Sonic Adventure. I didn't play the first Sonic game until 2003 when it came with Sonic Mega Collection on Gamecube. So I'm not the most familiar with this game, considering the amount of time that I've had to play it. And I'm actually using the PlayStation 3 version here, downloadable off PlayStation Network. And I'll say this now, I have been using save states with this. So if there's any cuts in the audio whenever I begin a level or a special stage, it's because I made a save state and I edited it out so that you guys don't need to see me constantly go over the save stating. Okay, we're entering the first of the special stages. Now, there are only 6 Chaos Emeralds in this game. It wasn't until Sonic 2 when they decided to add a 7th one, so it takes less time to get them all in this game than it does all the others, obviously. Now, the special stages in this game are quite unique to the series. They actually used the same ideas that they used in the special stage in the bonus stages in Sonic 2 and Sonic 3. As you can tell, well, I should say Sonic 3, sorry. It's a rotating maze, and somewhere in the maze, I just got it, is the Chaos Emerald. The maze itself continually rotates, and depending on whether you hit the bumpers which say down or up, it decreases or increases the speed of the rotation, and the bumpers with R change the direction of the rotation. Now, I should speak about some of the enemies here. The piranha-like enemies are called choppers, I believe, and they're pretty basic. Just wait until they go back down and go over them, or wait until they come up and jump on them. The crab-like robots are crab meats. They are fairly harmless unless you give them time to actually attack, where they fire 2 fireballs out of their pincers, which obviously you want to stay away from. The flying insectoid enemies are buzz bombers, and those guys like to drop fireballs as well. Now, the fireballs that the buzz bombers drop can be rather hard to spot if you're moving quickly, so it's quite easy to accidentally run into one of the fireballs, particularly if there's more than one buzz bomber around. And the enemies that look a bit like robotic ladybugs are called motobugs, and they are pretty much your basic enemies. They do nothing except move forward. So I can just run into them when I'm invincible or jump on them, and they really aren't any kind of dangerous enemy. The chameleons, which I often forget the names of, are probably the most dangerous enemies in the Green Hill Zone, simply because you can't see them until they decide to attack. I'm off to the second special stage. In this game, there's very little difference in terms of the aesthetics of the special stages. It's always going to be birds turning into fish, but turning into birds against a background of clouds. But the mazes themselves change dramatically. Oh yeah, the red ones with stop prevent you from getting the Chaos Emerald. If you hit one of those, you'll end up in the next stage without getting anything. The crystals that you can see I'm jumping against now do nothing except basically block you from getting the Chaos Emerald. The more you rub against them, they change colour and eventually disappear so that you can go past them and get to the Chaos Emerald. Interestingly, in Sonic 3, the same crystals are given a different design and are instead used to prevent you from exiting the bonus stage. Okay, Green Hill Zone Act 3, this is one of the only main series Sonic games to have an Act 3, and it basically is the level before the boss. Now, most Sonic games, even those with Act 3s, have the bosses pretty much right at the beginning, with a few exceptions. In the first Sonic game, there's a whole level before you actually fight the boss. So it makes the first Sonic the Hedgehog game longer than most of the standalone classic Sonic games. What I mean by that is combining Sonic 3 and Sonic & Knuckles doesn't count because that's technically 2 games in one, making this one possibly the longest in the series, in the classic series on its own. So here we have to go through that loop. You need to really get up some speed because there's no way of increasing the speed quickly. Go up the tunnel, out through the loop, and jump over the spring. I made a mistake there, I need to go back and jump over it again. And that log with the spikes on it really is kind of annoying because you have to actually move slowly to get across them safely. Now I just got hit by one of the chameleon enemies. As I said, those are a pain in the ass. Really can be hard to hit. Oh yeah, behind the waterfall things become a fair bit harder to see, so it's a lot easier to get hit by the buzz bombers. The ledges that look like they have a bit of a gap underneath them, they will fall. So it's pretty obvious when they're going to fall. The swinging platforms here obviously can be quite difficult to jump onto if you're not used to the way that Sonic's platforming mechanics work. Sometimes there are item boxes hidden in the trees. As any Sonic fan knows, 100 rings equals an extra life. Now here we fight, Sonic fights for the first time ever Dr. Robotnik with his swinging ball on a chain. Now the best way to deal with this boss is to jump and hit Robotnik, fall over his ball, go back on the platform to the left, jump over the ball again, and just keep on doing this and you shouldn't get hurt at all. It takes 8 hits to destroy Robotnik, and pretty, first boss, easy, really easy. And there he goes. Jump on the capsule, free the animals. In this game the animals really don't do anything. It wasn't until a fair bit later that they actually give the animals a purpose. Oh yeah, in this game getting 50,000 points does not earn an extra life, though in later classic Sonic games it does. There are some new enemies in this zone, the Marble Zone. The Caterpillars, the caterpillar-like enemies, are some of the most annoying in the game, because if you don't spin into their head or try to attack the body, they will hurt you and scatter their body fragments, so they can be pretty hard to avoid. Well, not avoid, but kill without getting hit, I should say. Down here we have 3 10-ring boxes. In this game there's only really 10 ring boxes, there's nothing like 20 or 5 ring boxes. They were only introduced later. So we go down here. There's only one type of shield in this game. There's no magnetic shield or any of the elemental shields from Sonic 3. I'll be playing through those games later, so you'll see what I mean. These cylinders obviously require pretty easy-going timing skills. Later on in the stage there will be a lot more harder timing skill areas. This block here, put it onto the switch, raises the chandelier. We go down here with some more more of those tubes, more timing skills. I almost got hit there. Now, these sections of the lava and the blocks are one of the most dangerous areas in this particular zone. Now, they are what make this zone a fair bit harder than most second zones in Sonic games. Now here, watch out, you can hear the chain for the chandelier going up. Eventually it will stop and the chandelier will drop, which is your cue to jump on it. The blocks here move at the same time as each other, so when one goes out the other one goes in, and vice versa. Jumping up there. The chandelier and weight here both drop onto Sonic, and whilst the chandelier, because it's not against the floor, only damages Sonic, the weight will crush him. And crushing in a Sonic game means instant death, even if you have rings. So we go along here, and it's the end of Marble Zone Act 1. Entering the third special stage. I am going to be getting all 6 Chaos Emeralds in this game. I'll try and do the same for the other classic Sonic games. Oh wow, that's close. As you can probably tell, the bumpers with the red, yellow stars bounce Sonic back off the bumpers, so they can be handy or annoying depending on how they're used. This is the third Chaos Emerald, the red one, and this is quite interesting. The first 3 Chaos Emeralds are blue, yellow and red. Obviously the first 3 Sonic hero characters are Sonic, Tails and Knuckles. Blue, yellow, red. I often wonder if this was some kind of foresight, a little way for Sega to, I don't know, maybe Tails and Knuckles' colours were inspired by the second 2 Chaos Emeralds, considering the first Chaos Emerald is the same colour as Sonic, blue. I don't know if it worked that way, or maybe they had already come up with designs for Tails and Knuckles and were leaving the Chaos Emeralds in there as a kind of Easter egg for players who obviously at the time didn't know these characters were going to be introduced. Maybe, you know, to suggest that these characters were going to be yellow and red, just like the Chaos Emeralds. Obviously I can't say that for sure, no one really can, but I find it interesting. Now the fire shooters here are really quite annoying, and here we have the part where the lava waits for Sonic, then starts chasing him as soon as he falls down to that area. I don't know what is up with that. Perhaps the lava is sentient and really wants to kill Sonic. I don't know. Some more swinging platforms. These ones connect to each other, so it's best not to actually jump at all, but just walk across them when they are next to each other. Again, Caterpillar's best killed with a running spin. They're probably the only enemies in the game which have that thing where it's better to attack them with the running spin than the jump. Now, as you can see here, there are some lava geysers which will cause Sonic to raise out of the lava at random points. They sometimes help and sometimes they can be a hindrance. There will be an example of it being more of a hindrance later on. Sometimes with Caterpillars you're forced into tiny little spaces with very little room to run and roll, which is why they can occasionally be pretty tough to take down. The fireballs here, which are like Podoboos from the Super Mario franchise, are also pretty annoying to avoid, but so long as you give them time to come up and down, it's for the best. This Sonic game is, interestingly enough, probably the slowest, because it is so important to constantly worry about the timing of the platforming. And this is coming towards the end of the video, so I will see you. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in Sonic the Hedgehog Part 2.